Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Holistic Dynamics. Actually, I've changed the name. It's Dynamics of Health with Timo. On the show, I have Hlubi, somebody I went to school with when I was studying to become a trainer. While we were studying together, she fell pregnant. And then she had a baby, and I was curious. I was very curious to find out how she got the baby and her body went to what it was before. I think that's a lot of questions everybody had, and a lot of women ask those questions at the moment. So I thought, let's bring her in, because I know that she trains a lot of people who are pregnant, and we should have a discussion about preparing for pregnancy and what to do while you are pregnant. Louis, over to you.
Hello, my name is Hlubikazi Ntshobane, and I'm an exercise science specialist. So that means I specialize in elderly pregnancy as well as child development, but mainly my main focus and my passion. My main passion actually is working with elderly. That is my end goal. That's what I would love to one day do forever and ever. Amen. However, being a woman, obviously, that's had a child and working in the industry for a very short time, I see the importance of exercise science in terms of pregnancy and the education behind that. So the passion for pregnancy has come with time and has come with exposure. Like you say, in my first year, I didn't struggle, I didn't struggle with my own pregnancy. I didn't have any complications. I was exercising, I think, until 2 weeks before. I didn't miss lectures. You remember I walked into that class the whole time. I think, I look back now, I think I missed 3 lectures, and it was because I had doctor's appointments. Okay. So it was never because I was sick or tired or I just couldn't, I couldn't get through the day or whatever the case is. And then from my experience and then seeing other women go through pregnancy, because beforehand, before you fall pregnant, you're told all these myths, right? Yeah. So women tell you, Uti, yeah, your feet are going to swell. This is going to happen. You're going to be groggy and tired. Yeah. And you see women, at the mall or at shops in slippers because, their feet are sore, their feet are swollen. And I thought I didn't think I would have a unique experience. And then when I was pregnant, my pregnancy was so easy, and easy in the sense that I wasn't extremely exhausted. Of course, I was tired more than usual, and I had your normal symptoms, but it wasn't to an extent where I felt like I couldn't function. And there's women that get put on bed rest. So for me, that was foreign. I was like, okay, so there is a brighter, better side to pregnancy. It's not as tough as it was painted out to be. And then after I had my child, the horror stories as well weren't as horrible, but it also wasn't as beautiful and great and flowery and romanticized as it was before.
Before I start off with getting into the conversation of today for preparing for pregnancy, Happy Women's Month. By the way,
thank you.
What does it mean for you to be a woman in South Africa? Let's keep it. What does it mean to be a woman for you?
I think the thing that's most highlighted for me is women still very much don't have a voice in our country. And I know that we're very westernized, we've got Google, we've got Instagram, we've got TV, but however, in the African culture, men are the heads of families and the heads of households. And not that women are being oppressed, but in most of the things that we do. And nowadays there's been a shift. And I think South African women are finding it more difficult to have a voice. Most of us are finding our voices when we're out of our parents' houses, when we're in the workplace, and even then it takes a while. So I think it's a cultural shift more than it is a mental shift. Because a mental shift happens naturally, but a cultural shift happens over many centuries. Mawuvele ekhaya, for us blacks, and I'll speak from a black woman's perspective. Your uncles and your dads are the heads of the family. When there's a problem, something that needs to be fixed, the men go first. The men are the ones that tackle the problems. Women are more of a supporting structure. So now it's a very it's a different perspective to have women having to speak up, and it's only because we're forced. And that, I think, is the most disappointing thing for me. It's because we're forced to speak up, gender-based violence, rape, gender equality. Women are being forced to speak up, where before we were in a position where we were protected. Men protected us, men supported us. We just needed to be a supporting structure. We never really needed to get our hands dirty. And now we need to get our hands dirty because I come to stethelelayo. So I think that's the biggest thing for me.
But don't you think right now that we as men see you guys as competition? Like sometimes in the household, if I see that, okay, she's making more money than me.
Yeah.
I get pissed off.
I think, yes. I think it's you want to land your westernization, eh?
Yeah.
It's that's why I'm saying it's so difficult to apply something that is not yours and make it yours. We're taking something that comes from somewhere, and it says gender equality in the workplace is an appropriate conversation, because you and I studied the same thing, ne? You and I went to school together. We sat in the same class, we did the same assignments. So if both of us have that qualification, why are you as a male being paid more than I will be? Yet qualifications zethu ziyafana. So in those spaces, that is very accurate. However, in the household, it's a very different conversation. I still believe that indoda should be a protector and a provider, and he should have indawo yakhe. They say men shouldn't be loved, men should be respected. You should love and honor a man. You shouldn't love him. Women need to be loved. Women need that TLC and that care, because we don't function from a place of ego. However, things like feminism, have now changed our thinking. And some people don't even fully understand what feminism is, because esintwini ntoni feminism in Africa.
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, what is that? And then we want to take the conversations we have as officini, which are appropriate, and we want to have them at home. You know what I'm saying?
That time you are dating a very African man, and you got married, and they tell you that you must hold the knife the sharpest. So whatever happens, you must just hold on.
Yeah.
No matter how hard it is, when you must just hold on, which is wrong in a way. It's wrong for you guys.
I think there's a difference in empowering women and giving them a voice, and I don't want to say encouraging being disrespectful, but however, it goes two ways. No one teaches a man to be, responsible, and what does a man look like for a woman to want to submit to him and to want to be respectful towards him? How does he treat himself? How does he carry himself? And how does he treat other people, including his own family, for me to say, this is a man I can look up to and I can support in everything that he does, and a man that I can submit to. My CT, this is the direction I want us to take in our marriage. I can say yes because I trust him. And vice versa. Women also aren't taught to have their own voices. You can speak up for yourself without fighting. You can speak up for yourself without and that whole nyamezela thing is then the opposite of that, where it's hayi ubabu right, umfazi kumele athobele yonke into, and like you're saying, it's completely wrong, because you're still human, you still have feelings, and you will know that this ideology of strong black women, we must suffer first. I must go through some kind of trauma for me to be like, oh yes, I'm strong on manje, hey, umshado wam 10 years. And you actually have nothing to show for it besides brokenness, because most women that have that conversation and say I'm a strong black woman have been broken before, And
A
why must I
lot.
break before? And it's so common, very, very common.
Yeah, no, but I think Lynn Nye is a guy I must start to support other women and not just a post about it. I should be the change within my environment so that other people can see it. Oh, so this is what it's done, what he's doing. This immediately when you know, okay, I'm about to lose my temper. You should have that awareness. Okay, I'm just about to lose it right now, and she is pissing me off. Move away, because
yes,
to be honest, I think at some point I was dating somebody, and then I lost it, and there was a lot of pushing around. Even though I might say I did not hit her, but the fact is I pushed her around, and I saw at her. That was wrong. That was wrong. But that is why like awareness is very important.
yes,
Immediately when you see it happening, you need to be aware of it and say, okay, no. Today, this is not me. I'm a better person. I won't do this. But you know, I get when Majita, when we are sitting down and talking, she's very disrespectful. And we are like, yeah, oh yeah. And but there's one of us who's sitting next to us is not gonna say, but that's not right. He's also gonna say, yeah, no.
I understand why you did it.
I understand why you did it. You paid Lobola for her. She must not speak to you like that. Even guys who's just dating, I feel as though because I bought you that makeup kit or that phone, I own you. That's why.
Tell me, do you feel that, you're a young black man, and you lived in Pretoria, which is a very diverse area. Do you feel that black men are taught how to behave in relationships? And even more so, are you guys given an idea of what is a good male role model, or what is a good husband, or what is a good male partner?
No, we are not. I think the most learning I've done is just like quite recently, actually, past 2 or 3 years, I've been looking at what my dad has been doing. And then I started reading more about it. Then I drew a clear comparison. Okay, the way I've been doing things is wrong, actually. And then I started to take off some qualities from my dad and the things that I've been reading. But otherwise, nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You just pick up things from your friends, what they are saying. Or they can tell man. Or I bought her a phone and then I took the phone back because she's disrespectful. So like I remember at some point I was at home and I remember seeing this guy having an argument with his girlfriend. And he took that girl and hit her and then threw her in the back of the car. And then I was like, oh, yeah. So I'm like, how? So in my mind, I'm thinking, and I started seeing more of that, especially when you live in the township, you're going to see things like that.
Yeah.
So I started seeing more of that. Then in my mind, I thought, okay, that's how you deal with things.
Yeah.
Because you see it a lot. You're like, okay, so that's how.
It becomes normal. It becomes
normal. You're like, you're not even going to go and help. It's only later on that you start reading and understanding and having that thing out. I want to know how to treat my girl right. That you start to make some changes.
Yeah, and also it's learned behavior. You need to inform yourself before you can act appropriately. And that's why I'm saying, the reason why Nathi see all over the place, and I say Nathi because we can't exclude ourselves and say I Tina sing no. The reason why we also so messed up is because these conversations don't happen at home, they don't happen in our communities, they don't happen in the environments that we grow up in. And like you're saying, you're now picking things up as time is going on in the streets. Yes. And sometimes you pick up the right stuff, about things like about girlfriend allowance. you never know which is it a thing, is it a real thing? Because had someone sat you down and had a conversation with you about you, first of all, about where na demo as a young man, who are you and what characteristics should you have that make you a good person before you're a husband, a wife, Tina, we never told to self-introspect. We only told, when your parents are shouting at you and you're getting bad marks. It's always linked to another foreign thing that you haven't actually encountered, because when you're in grade 10, you don't know, today you want to be a doctor, tomorrow you want to be something else. However, your core characteristics should be formed at those times when you're doing those funny things, those confusing things. Do you want to be a person that is well functioning? Or do you want to be someone or that doesn't care about their marks? Because that means if you don't care about your marks, you're not going to care at varsity, you're not going to be a good employee, or you're not going to be a good boss, or whatever the case is. I think
Even
one of my favorite
lover.
things, even a good lover, yes, because if you've got those core values and those characteristics within yourself, wherever you go, wherever life steers you, you will remain a productive, good person that is well-rounded. One of my favorite things that Ukhanyi Mbau ever said, I listened to an interview of hers and I was like, she put it so well. Ati, bona at home, when you wake up in the morning, wake up, make your bed in. And she says her grandmother and her mother would make them polish stoop, look, she and they would have to do it before the neighbors got up and polish stoop sab. And she's like, why are you being taught to and when you must be better than Umakelwan? You're not being taught of being proud of your home and being proud of who you are. If I've made my bed or not, when I go to work, no one knows, no one cares even, However, we taught to and that's also another thing that makes us so dysfunctional, because we function from a place of looking outside.
And now it's even a lot more harder because of technology and social media and influencer, and it's a lot more harder. Back then it was like, the child next door is doing better. Look what that child is doing. I hated that.
When maths lit and you are failing food.
Yo. I hated those. When I go next door, she cleaned the yard. What are you doing? You are so useless. Sleeping, you are so useless. And those words, I think, are driving a lot of men angry. Those words from those times, that comparison and how we were raised. But it's not I'm not saying it's an excuse to not change, but it really did affect us. It did.
And you must remember that your first love 90% of the time is your own mother. So the words that she uses, you already have that that tainted relationship with women, because umuntu okhuluma nawe in such a way that is that breaks you down as a person. When the next person says anything negative about you, even if it's constructive criticism, you'll never see it that way. You'll never understand it that way, because you don't learn, okay, manje ngiyalungiswa, manje I'm being criticized, manje, what's building me and what's breaking me. So when that information comes at you, you're just like, you're defensive straight away, because you're just like, how ngeke shout, Zulu men will have that one,
don't shout.
Don't shout at me, so I think there's a lot that we still need to get through, Tina Ngabantu.
How important is having a partner that supports you during your pregnancy? During your pregnancy, how important is that, to have somebody that supports you? You need to start learning these things before.
I think it actually makes the world difference. That's actually one of the things that made my pregnancy a breeze, because first of all, let me go back now. People need to also understand that pregnancy always comes as some form of shock, or surprise. Let me not say shock. It's a surprise. So even when you're planning on having children, you never know when. You could be trying for a year, 2 years, a month, 2 months. There's couples that try the first time and get it right. So you're always going to be surprised. Oh, it came quickly. Oh, it came late. Or it came at an unexpected time. And that alone is a factor. Pregnancy is always a surprise. So the way your partner reacts to that affects the pregnant woman instantly, because if he's excited and he's happy, you feel better, you feel excited and you feel happy. If he's disappointed, or if he's shocked, or if he says something like namanga out of shock, that thing will always stay with you. So I think, pregnancy, men are excluded from pregnancy, and I like that you asked me about partners. Because people don't think about men and partners when it comes to pregnancy. It's all about the woman. And having a supportive partner, it makes the world's difference, because first of all, your body is changing constantly. It feels like you're on fast forward. So you're always dealing with something is sore, something is big, something is small, something is cramping. So that internally affects you. And then having someone who's holding your hand, someone who's supportive, and someone who wants to be there. Someone who wants to be there, because I think this idea of support is a voluntary thing. It's a voluntary thing, and partners that want to be there give so much more. And even if you guys are together or not together, because I also thought about that yesterday, Uti, a partner that wants to be there is so much better than a partner who doesn't. And I've seen men that have excluded themselves from the situation because, I didn't want, this was an unwanted pregnancy, whatever, but so that I don't add more pressure, I will distance myself. And I don't support that fully, but I support that more than umuntu ozohlala next to you and be a constant radiation of negative energy.
So you'd rather not have them around.
Yeah, because I actually listened to a girl from home. She went through a similar thing, and she says her family was there for her. She never ever blamed him. Like I said, it's a surprise. It's a change for your partner as well. So if he feels like this is not the space that he wants to be in, he has a right to remove himself, for your benefit. Because the problem about, like I said, my biggest problem with pregnancy is how romanticized it is. It is so romanticized, and and then the religious people say, which is a gift from God. Pregnancy is a surprise. Pregnancy is a surprise, and surprises may not be good at the moment, but they'll, some dads are never there for their kids. Some dads warm up to their kids, but the fact that it's a surprise means that you don't know how someone is going to react. Even married couples go through the same thing, where we live together, and all of a sudden when you have baby number 3, guy is unhappy, or the husband is just not having it. So for me, I like the psychological side of having a partner more than I do the physical side. Because if you're not good for my mental health, you're not good for the baby. You're not good for my pregnancy journey. I went to school with a girl who lost a twin. And the one twin was born a size of a can.
I had my aunt. She had triplets. They were all of them, like they were that small, like size of a can. Exactly. You're right. She had them like
size of a can,
like a giraffe
on her chest.
On her chest, yeah. Like kangaroo. Yeah. You see kangaroo puts
yes, the kangaroo. Yes. So, and I remember her coming to school. SCT, my doctor's been saying that I need to get away from this man. From Boma 6 months, even before, get away from him. Yabo? So Tina, we want the romantic, and I think, and that's another thing. I think this is an older doctor that says he's better off not even in the picture, because the way it's affecting your body and the way it's affecting your pregnancy, and then just one of the twins is alive. So let's stop romanticizing, It is.
To think that whatever that was going on, the environment that she was in affected her, and she now lost one of the babies. That's it's amazing.
And it was attributed to stress.
Stress.
It was attributed to stress. Yeah, just stress.
Simple.
And even the doctor, from those early months, from 4, 5 months, 6 months, SCT, you're under so much stress that the babies are under a lot of stress. It's not a good nurturing environment for them. I will say, maybe I should have said this in the beginning, I do sort of have a harsh approach to to the way that I look at things, which I don't know, it's not for everyone, but I think it's necessary because we always given this unrealistic expectation of everything.
Yeah.
Of everything. And you know, no one tells you that pregnancy, like I say, it's a surprise. Wongumuntu is this beautiful expectation. And even with me, I was married when I had umntana wam, yabo, and I was happily married. However, when I fell pregnant, there were those questions like, oh my word, you know, you start counting now. Ooh, I've been married for only 3 months, but I'm pregnant already. You know, one family is happy, the other family is saying it's too soon. The other family, and all of those things, they play a role. And hence, if you know that a surprise can either be good or bad, psychologically, you're almost preparing yourself for anything. But Tina, you know, first of all, you're not allowed to be unhappy about a pregnancy. That's the first thing, you know, because now you are rejecting a gift from God. They understand that.
You're not allowed to question it at all.
You're not allowed to question it. So which means anything that happens after that is I don't want to say fake, but then you will never fully experience all the things you want to experience emotionally, because phela wena, you ungrateful, phela wena, you didn't want this child anyway, phela wena. Like one of the biggest things for me, I was like, yo, I'm still at school, you know. I've always wanted to be a mom. I always wanted to have children, but I was at school, and that was my reality at that moment. How was I going to be pregnant with 2 years left of school? Because I found out in March, so it was the beginning of the year.
School started in
February. I just started. You remember? And remember. You know, those were real concerns, and that had nothing to do with me not wanting the baby, but it had everything to do with how that journey was going to affect my future.
Yeah, it's I don't know, are we supposed to have those conversations before you get pregnant, or we just let it happen? Because I get when we have different opinions of do I want a child, don't I want a child? Do you think it's important to have those conversations beforehand?
Precisely. I think first of all, it's important to have the conversation with yourself. Okay. It's important to have the conversation with yourself. You must be someone that knows if you want children or not. That's where it begins. You know, even before you get into a relationship, do you want children or do you not want children as an individual before you attach yourself to someone else? Because I think that for me has been the biggest difference I've seen with adults. I'm going to put it that way, because, you know, the adults that say, I don't want to have children. I want to focus on my career. They're going to a relationship with someone I really want to have children. I want to have more than one child. And, you know, now you're like, oh, but I'm young, but I'm married, but you don't know where to fall, because now you're undecided. And when you know that I don't want children, when you meet a girl that says, Minatemo, I want kids, already you can decide if this is someone I can have a relationship with or not.
Yeah.
Because there's women that blame men for their pregnancy. I need now.
Yeah. You were there. You were there.
And you were there, and had you if you're someone that says I don't want children, then you take the right precautions, and you have the conversations that allude to the fact that and you can decide from there. And whatever happens afterwards, you can deal with it as an adult.
Yeah, but decide what to do. Did you, when you found out that you were pregnant, did you already have a doctor that you were working with before, or you started looking out for doctors after?
No, I started looking out for doctors after, because I had also just moved to Pretoria.
Before you get there, you guys were not planning on having a child. It was a surprise. Let's hear that. Or were you having the conversation? Were you having the conversations before of the child?
Yes, we had the conversations before, definitely.
Okay.
So I've always known that my husband wanted children.
Okay.
I've always wanted children. Okay. I just don't remember ever. We never had a timeline. If that's what you're asking, we never had a timeline. And like now, and even back then, I'm actually grateful I had my child when I did, because that was the best time for me.
Okay.
And I think for me, that was just a blessing from God.
Yeah.
Because that was easy. And even now,
Okay.
it's so easy. He's 3, he's running around, and I'm able
Yeah.
to continue with my career.
Okay.
But to say we had a set timeline, no,
No. Okay.
no.
Okay.
But we knew
Okay.
he wanted children. We just
Yeah.
didn't have a strict uti. Yeah, like white people do. It's like, we
Family
will be
planning.
married for 3 years. Family planning. Shame. Tina, family planning. We
Nothing.
freestyled it. We freestyled it.
Yeah. So yeah, tell me the doctor part. Did you have a
Mhm.
learn doctor before or after?
No, I had a doctor once I found out. Yeah. So that
Okay.
was my experience. Yeah.
Is
That
it
was,
like a
yeah.
gynae or what?
Yes, I had an OBGYN, so the gynecologist and optometrist, which also delivers the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, I lived in Montana at the time. So when I went to the hospital to go check out, because I was like sick, I was not feeling well. They actually thought it was malaria at first.
Okay.
They thought I had malaria, and then they took blood samples. They were like, "How, girl? You 8 weeks pregnant? What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, whoa,
Okay.
Virgin Mary Wonke.
It's
What
not
do you
me.
mean? It's not me. How did it happen?"
Yeah.
And then and then within the hospital, they said, we've got these 5 doctors, and you can
Okay.
go book an appointment. And then off the list, I just chose the black doctor's name, because
Okay.
Montana's very Afrikaans. So I chose the black doctor's name, and it was a good experience after that. Yeah. So that's how I actually found my doctor.
Did you guys have a good relationship in that whole time? In the whole pregnancy
Yes, we
phase?
had. I will 100% also attribute my pregnancy experience to my doctor. He was an older black man,
Yeah.
and in our first appointment, massive figure, you get there, you're
Yeah.
excited, so when's my scan?
Yeah.
And his first question was, how many kids do you guys want?
Yeah.
So we're like, I was like 2,
Yeah.
men's what 3. I was like, eh?
Yeah.
And yeah, and then he what I appreciated about my doctor, he, not that it was counseling, but he had the correct conversations with us as a young couple, as a young black couple, and he got us thinking about things that we maybe hadn't even thought about. Like, when you're pregnant, you're excited about this pregnancy, and then his first question was, after this one, and we were just like, but
Didn't plan that
which is
far.
also, yes, we didn't plan it that far, and which are conversations you should actually start having when you are expecting a child. Wuti, what is going to be the journey that we want to take after this pregnancy?
Yeah, because a lot of women, I don't think we in a relationship, we don't have those conversations, or get lava just 1 2, then I'm fine. Can't you find that comrade once 4? And then when you didn't have that conversation, so you getting a good gynae you would say is crucial when you're starting out and building a good relationship with that gynae.
Yes, I think your doctor is like a mutual person.
Yeah.
They're looking out for your health. They've been in the game for a very long time. They've seen it all. So I think he was also very deliberate, Naya, in his question. Uti, how many kids do you want? And every appointment after then, he would talk us through our expectations, what's going to happen, and he made us feel comfortable. He made me feel comfortable. I know there's women that don't even dream of going to a male gynecologist because he's a man. Like, they don't feel comfortable with it. Yeah, the idea of another man, being your OBGYN, they'd rather have it be a woman because they feel like women understand. But my Dr. Mnisi was very understanding. He had a very empathetic and sympathetic way that he dealt with us, and when things, when funny things happen, you're like, he would, there's doctors that will be like, oh, that's normal, don't worry about it. He would always explain to us, and he would always talk us through all the processes. So he absolutely made me feel comfortable. I was happy with him. Like I say, I think pregnancy was just an all-rounded, I had good support structure in that sense as well.
Does the same doctor go with you to, like when you give birth? The same gynae is
Yes.
the one. Oh, okay. So you don't have to go find a midwife or whatever.
No. Fortunately for me at that hospital, there's a midwife on duty. So when they have like staff members there that are midwives. So when you do go to the maternity ward, whichever lady or midwife is on duty, then that is the person
That
that
will.
you. I know now it's becoming more popular that midwives are working independently.
Yeah.
Um, but we never had our own midwife. I
Okay.
actually didn't even know what a midwife was
Yeah.
until I was pregnant, and
Yeah.
then on the day there was a lady there, and I was told this will be your midwife for
Yeah.
the next. If you're here for 24 hours, she's gonna be the one taking care of you, and
Mm.
she also did a fantastic job. So I was really happy.
We're happy with that. So I think a lot of people will need to make sure that the gynae, that whoever they get, they can operate
Mm,
or at the specific hospital that they'll be going. Because now you don't want to
yes,
be in trouble when your gynae can't be with you or operate at a
yes,
specific hospital. I think that is important. Eh?
yes. Yeah. I also there's also I know there's also I've got a client who's married to a gynecologist, and they are a group of doctors.
Okay.
So I think also to avoid burnout, I think there's 5 of them, and they roll
Okay.
out so that you're not working long hours. Because I know most gynecologists are never off. They never get any time off
Mm,
because people are pregnant all the time, and
mm,
one client is pregnant for like 7 months or whatever.
mm, mm,
Um, However, they are groups of gynecologists, and I think if you know your gynecologist and you have a good relationship with them, whoever they refer you to, you can also trust. So I
mm.
also see there was a shift I didn't know that that was possible, because my experience was one doctor. I saw him the first appointment, I saw him throughout my pregnancy, and I saw him at my delivery.
Because
Mm.
now I was thinking the other day that, like, it seems to be that there are different, what do you call it? You can choose where you want to give birth. Where you guys
Mm.
asked if you want to give birth in the hospital or at home, and I think there's also different kinds of procedures to give birth. But I
Yes.
just want to find out what kind of birth style were you looking at?
Um, I really, well, I wanted to be at a hospital. I didn't want to
Okay.
do like those adventurous water births or whatever. I also wasn't well versed. I didn't know that there were, water births, warm water births, home births. I
Mm,
didn't know about, I mean, you hear about it, but I didn't know enough information. Like
mm,
they say normally your home births and having a midwife throughout your pregnancy makes the mom feel a little bit more relaxed, because it is a very stressful event. It makes her feel more comfortable when she's in her own space, in her own environment. That can make her feel or make the experience less traumatic.
mm.
For me, I don't know, I'm a gangster. I was like, it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah,
And that's also a mistake of mine. I go through my life like that, in that
yeah.
sense. So Mina Indo, I'll deal with it when it comes.
Mm,
However, you will find that women that do think about things a little bit more, do their own research.
yeah,
And I also think, like I said, remember with
yeah,
the surprise of the pregnancy,
yeah,
it can also be a traumatic experience, in the sense that there is a lot of pain involved.
yeah.
Um, during contractions and whatever. So
Mm,
some women that want to be in a comfortable space normally do their own research, or people that are more, they don't want to use drugs. I had an epidural. I did not go natural.
yeah.
When the contractions were very bad, I asked for an epidural. I signed the form, and
That was
so
it.
they gave me the injection to help with the pain.
Mm,
But I know that there's women that signed forms before that even if I'm screaming and shouting and kicking people in the face,
mm.
don't excuse me, don't give me that medication.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, but if you had like the knowledge that you have now, do you think you would have considered a home birth or not?
No, no,
Okay.
no, 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 no.
Mm,
Um, I support people being comfortable in their own spaces, but however, I just don't want the admin and the stress. Like when I was at the hospital, everyone else was running around and doing everything, and I just
mm,
had to survive, and I
mm,
liked that.
mm,
That's one of the things that made my experience beautiful in its own sense. The only person that was allowed there with me was my husband. Obviously, my mother-in-law was also at home, but she wasn't around when I was having contractions and all of that. And so some women want their mom to be there, they want their dad to be there. You know, if you have a close relationship with your sister, you know, sister holding your hand and you all crying. For some people, for me, that would have been too much. I like that my husband was there. I think half the time I avoided him unless I was pinching him for doing this to me. So like I said, I think it's a very traumatic experience in during those few hours, you know, just before you deliver. So whatever makes the person feel comfortable. I would go, if I had another child again, I would go the same route that I went. I would go to a gynecologist. I would book my bed at the hospital. I would want whoever is entrusted by the hospital or by a gynecologist to be my midwife and deliver the same way I did. I would not change anything about that particular experience.
Now, there seems to be a lot of deficiencies when some clients, like women fall pregnant. Like, what kind of deficiencies, like supplement-wise, do you think one should prepare themselves for, start taking? Because
so what people don't think about is you growing an entire person.
Okay.
So you need, I don't want to say double of everything, but you need a little bit more of everything that you normally would need. So your iron, your vitamins, your omega oils that are good for your brain and good for inflammation, good for umzimba wako. Supplements are exactly that. They help you get in what you don't normally get in. And because you are pregnant with another human being that still needs to form, having I'm forgetting, the name is escaping, folic acid.
Yes.
Things like folic acid that are so vital for umntwana that's still growing and developing at those early stages. And like I think you said in one of your podcasts, I was listening to them, and that education part, you know, and this is one of the things I will commend our government for doing, good public hospitals, because when you're privileged and you're at and you have medical aid, or you're just in an affluent area, you go to clicks and you buy the pregnancy dondon and it has everything in it. And then most elokshini, and you can't afford to go to Dischem and buy AMA supplements for 300 Rand every month. The government does have those, especially folic acid and those packages of vitamins to give to women, because they're so vital for those early developing stages of pregnancy, for umntana, not for you, but for the baby and for the fetus. And like government was very deliberate in that, because Tina, we sit at home, no Wi-Fi, we Google, and then we go buy. Where emakaya and elokshini, no one Googles anything, no one researches anything. So that these are your pills for the next month until you come back for your checkup. You need to take these pills every day. That is a very direct intervention that government has made sure is happening. And I think it's been one of the things I was very happy about, because even when my son moved from Gauteng to back home, he got all his vaccines for free. And here he went to a private clinic, but back at home there's no private clinics. But he got all his vaccines. He never missed any shots. The clinic always had a good supply of vaccines and shots. So in that regard, in pregnancy, our South African women are well taken care of. And maybe in other areas, maybe they do run out of supplements, I don't know. But from back home and from what I've heard and from what I understand, there is enough supplements for pregnant women.
No, it's good to hear some positive news about the government. Considering
considering it is what it is.
Even the circumstances that you are in right now, things are coming out of the government. Anyway, let's leave that as it is. But I'm talking about supplementation. A lot of people don't actually eat right, and you find out that they need more supplements than others. What are you saying to your clients about their nutrition?
Okay, so with my clients, I think my biggest advice, and this is also where those vitamins and your folic acids
Yeah.
supplements fall into place, because with morning sickness, sometimes even if you don't get affected by smells and all that stuff, when your stomach is that big and everything is squashed up, you tend to either puke or any morning sickness. So even if you had your spinach that has all the nutrients and goodies that you need, and then you go and puke it out half an hour later, so you don't get the benefits of lentils. So supplementation is important in that regard, especially when they're still suffering from morning sickness, where they feel like they're vomiting a lot or they can't keep anything down. So the first thing is that I always explain to my clients as well is that supplementation is not for you. Those vitamins, minerals, they're not for you. They're for the baby and for the health of the baby. And so, and like people will say, I don't like drinking pills. I don't care. I really do not care, because it's not for your health, it's for the baby's health. And then the second thing with nutrients, when it comes to pregnant women, nutrients dense foods first. So if you can't keep down your porridge or whatever, have your baby spinach and your greens and your beetroots, your nutrients dense foods first. And also when you can keep food down. So when Wuti, my morning sickness comes in the morning, some people get their morning sickness later on in the day or in the afternoon. So have your spinach and your beetroots and your nutrient dense foods in the morning. Then have that for breakfast. And then when you can't really keep anything down, you can have your snacks or your biscuits or whatever foods you can keep down. Because that's another thing that affects women's nutrition during pregnancy, is the fact that not everyone gets their morning sickness in the morning. So they prepare a nutritious supper, but that's when you have your morning sickness and you can't keep anything down. So it doesn't help that you have that nutrient dense meal only to puke it out. Have then that nutrient dense meal for your lunch or even for breakfast, because then at least your body has enough time to absorb it and digest it. And then in the evening, when your morning sickness hits you, you can have your snacks, or you cannot eat at all because you're feeling too sick and you can't keep anything down. So it's also timing and what foods you eat.
Eating. I'm going to pause for a bit. My battery is flat. I want to get the charger.
No problem.
Sure. Yeah, but okay, yeah. So we're good to go. But it seems to me that these conversations about nutrition need to be had anyway prior, before somebody gets pregnant, because now you get people that are underweight and people that are overweight. So it seems like you need to start having these conversations before that. Don't you think?
Agreed. 100% agreed. And the reason why you have the conversations before is because pregnancy is actually short-lived. And that's one thing people don't understand. They're like, oh, 9 months, it's so long. It's actually very short-lived. In a person's life, 9 months is nothing. So you need to have those good eating and nutritional habits before, during, and after. So even, a healthy body cannot, healthy moms make healthy babies, strong moms make strong babies. So if you're not strong before, because Tina, we want to damage control while we're pregnant. We go, let me go exercise. Hey, let me go. I'm watching what I eat. So I agree with you that we should have these conversations long before. And I was actually talking to one of my clients about this within our Black community, because the one whose husband is an OGBYN, is that when you're underweight, when you're overweight, hormonally as well, there's a lot of things that are happening. And pregnancy is a very hormone based experience. So some people struggle to fall pregnant at either spectrum, whether you're overweight or underweight, because the hormones aren't doing what they should be doing at the right time. So you're trying, you think it's the window to conceive, but because your hormones are off, you might be a day or two off. And remember that window is like over 48 hours. It's not long. So if your hormones aren't, if your body is not functioning correctly, either by being overweight or being underweight, how do you expect to have a healthy and fully realized pregnancy, and then to have a healthy baby, So nutrition definitely needs to be addressed beforehand.
Yeah. And then how are you guys going about training your clients? How are you going about it? Especially because I know clients now are like like, are they 6 months into the pregnancy? Are you saying clients people must still go to the gym? Are you
Okay, so
still
what?
seeing clients?
So pregnancy is a very high risk event,
Okay.
and it should be treated that way. So if you weren't exercising before and you are quite advanced in your pregnancy, I would suggest that you don't exercise.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
that's because we don't know what your body's going to do. We don't know how your body's going to react. And remember, pregnancy is already a stress on the body. You're
Okay.
supporting another life. You've got so your heart, lung, everything, your body's just working a little bit harder. So it's a little bit stressed already to, form life within you. And that's why it's very important to ask for expert advice.
Yeah.
And so if someone, like, I would not take a client that hasn't exercised before or has no history of exercising, I would not take that client on, because I don't know when they start exercising. You elevate their heart rate a little bit too much, and then we are saying that you don't know what's going to happen. So in that regard, no exercise whatsoever. No.
What exercises should we not be doing when we are pregnant? Because now, again, when I say we, I mean because she's pregnant, I'm also pregnant. Yeah.
Of
What,
course.
what exercises are we not supposed to be doing whilst we are pregnant?
um any exercises that put the abdominal area under pressure,
Yeah.
and any jumping and high impact any high impact work. And it also helps if your client is going to a gynecologist or going to the clinic for regular checkups, because then you'll know if they maybe have a weak pelvic floor or a weak cervix. Because if they have a weak cervix and you make them jump or do a deep squat, that can affect that area that is holding or supporting the baby. Because this is how I always describe it. It's like this, ne?
Yeah.
And the baby sits like this, ne?
Yeah.
So if this area is weak and you jump,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's the pressure, yeah, on that pelvic, on that pelvic floor. And also if their cervix is weak, any jumping, pushing motion, it's like any pressure on the abdomen. When you're doing like a squat, that heavy pushing down onto the pelvic floor, just from having to hold yourself in that position, can greatly affect what's happening within your womb. What I also do is, if I had a client who was training with me and they weren't pregnant, and then they found out they were pregnant before they went to the doctor.
Yeah.
So now I kept those legs closed. I kept those legs closed the whole time. She was either seated. If she was, I don't even think she even lunged until after she went to the doctor. She was seated, upper body, walking, just your natural movements. But I already knew what her body can handle.
Okay.
But medically, I didn't know what was happening inside her womb. So I couldn't take any risks. So I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. She warmed up like she normally did on the rower. She did a lot of upper body exercises. I think within 2 weeks she had an appointment. She went and saw her doctor. Doctor gave thumbs up. And never ever train a pregnant lady without a medical referral. And always ask them to ask their doctor, because sometimes doctors are just like, oh, you want to exercise, whatever, I sign it off. I always tell them, ask the doctor what heart rate should I not go above, because it depends on how long, heart rate, and then if there's any instructions that doctor has. Because, for example, if the doctor is good, makes a good referral, they will then say client has weak cervix, or client has this and the ABC condition, avoid this and this. And also preeclampsia, we call it preeclampsia, where because of the pregnancy you have like blood pressure problems. So if the doctor says I've picked that up, so therefore you should avoid like any heavy cardio, heavy breathing, or anything that will make the blood pressure fluctuate. Yeah.
Okay, so having a good relationship with the doctor, with you as the trainer and the doctor will be key during this phase.
100%. And I think you don't negotiate here, because this is a pregnancy and this is someone's life. This is not a time to be like, oh, we'll see what happens, because if your client loses a baby and you did something that directly affected you're in trouble. That is gross negligence. So I am always strict and very particular with what I ask for. And if it means I must send my client an email to remind them, these are the questions you should ask, this is what I want the doctor to write in your referral, that is what I do.
Until when can one continue training while they're pregnant, through your advice?
My advice would be, as long as it's comfortable. Women are very, very different. There's some women that I had one hardcore ass client who trained, and until I was very much the same until as long as she's comfortable, because remember, as the baby is growing, right, the baby's taking up more space, so it's more of a discomfort thing that plays a big role, because now you can't, the movements are uncomfortable, I'm getting a lot more tired a lot more quickly, I actually don't feel like it. So for me, I always work off of how is my client feeling, and does she feel like exercising. Sometimes the client comes in and we only do the pregnancy-based exercises, strengthening the pelvic floor, and that's it. For 2 or 3 weeks, especially closer to the pregnancy, they don't want to be doing more bicep curls, squat. They don't want to be doing any of that. So we then at this encourage them to keep coming. So we strengthen that pelvic floor. We keep that pelvic floor active so that it can snap back and be nice and strong straight after you deliver, especially closer to the pregnancy.
Yeah, because before we started recording, I told you that there's now so many influencers out there. You find that one influencer got pregnant some other time, and then she posts pictures before and after the pregnancy, and her body has gotten back to whatever it looked like before. Now you get a client that comes to you and says, Mara, person B looks like this. I want to look like that post my pregnancy. How do you handle such matters? Because a lot of women are under pressure. They want to look like celebrity A or influencer B, whatever the case.
So let me just first address the influencer thing on its own.
Yeah.
I think influencers and fitness enthusiasts have a place in the fitness industry because, number one, people need a referral to see Wuti. This fitness and wellness thing is always a journey. It's not an overnight thing. So when you see someone that says, I looked like this in 2014, I had a baby in 2016, it's now 2018. That is a span of like 4 to 6 years. Yeah, bo? So time-wise, that's what influencers give us, and fitness enthusiasts. They give us a timeline. If we're now in 2020, I'm showing you a picture that I took 8 years ago. I'm showing you a picture that I took 4 years ago. So that already should tell anyone that's looking that, okay, if I want to look like this, this is how much effort I need to put in. I need to put in 4 years worth of effort. That's the first thing. The second thing is that in itself should tell you that I haven't been doing this for 6 years. That's what I ask my clients, how long have you been exercising? What is your exercise history? And they'll say, I cycled when I was in high school. Okay, now you're 32. So can we really refer back to something you did more than 17 years ago? Do you still think you have the benefits of that? And I think the biggest thing for me is give clients more responsibility for themselves. Ask them the hard questions. What have you been doing for the last 6 years? Because if you look at person B, they look like that because they've been consistent for 6 years. You haven't been consistent for 6 years. And so how can you expect the same result? That's the first thing. And the second thing is Instagram is not real life, and everything online is romanticized. It's made to look good. It's meant to be inspirational. Yeah. It doesn't show the ugly sides of pregnancy. It doesn't show the ugly sides of how your body's changed. Your boobs are become bigger because you need to lactate and feed your baby. And then after you stop feeding them, they deflate, there's excess skin, even your stomach, the same thing happens. No one shows us that, everyone shows us when it's clean cut and it's And this is also why I get upset with some influencers, because they go for cosmetic treatments.
Yes, I was about to say that some people are
Yes,
more financially stable than others. Yeah.
yes, and also, I've had some clients that can definitely, they can afford to go for those treatments, because the treatment is like, if it's like 1.3 a month, my clients can afford that. However, realistically, are you going to do this after every pregnancy? And remember, this person has got an image to uphold. You don't.
Yeah.
And part of the experience is going through the ugly things first, before. I went through it because I was like, my boobs, I was like, whoa, 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 what is this? And now 2 years later, I'm like, it was so short-lived. Stay away from anything online. Stay away from anything online.
We are competing and comparing ourselves in the most different ways, immeasurable right now, more than ever. And
more than ever.
And it's quite sad though, that even in pregnancy, you are pregnant, you should be happy, you should trying to be lowering your stress levels, and you are worried that my stomach, my feet, my boobs.
Yes.
I mean, you need to accept that the scale is going to go up.
Yes,
and
that's true.
And I think maybe also as a coach or a trainer, you need to also now look at the mental side of it with women.
I actually wrote something down here.
Yeah.
I said, what you say in the mirror, the mind believes and the body receives.
Yeah.
So, even with people in general, the way you speak to yourself and what you tell yourself all the time, it manifests in your body. And remember that we're chemical humans. So if I have a bad thought or a negative thought, my body releases bad hormones. If I have a good thought and a happy thought, my body releases good endorphins and the feel good hormones. So one of the things that I emphasize on with my clients is the relationship you have with yourself and with your body. And even with things like food, the relationship you have with food. Pregnancy, I don't think, was ever meant to be easy or meant to be glamorous or beautiful. But, if you want to talk about the ugly things of pregnancy, like I said, you're kicking the blessing in the face. You're not embracing the ugly. When you're working with humans, it's almost impossible to not have an ugly side of something. It's ugly not to have an ugly side of something. How are we expected to be perfect and look good and not be tired and not be exhausted and not expect any changes? And that's why it makes me upset when I see this unrealistic image of pregnancy. There's another lady, or I think she's American. I don't know who she is. I'll tag you on one of her posts. She's like heavily pregnant and she's training hard. She's training hard. She's going for it. And for me, I will eventually make a very deliberate statement on the online platform. I don't think it's my time yet. I'm still, finding my feet. But I will come in as an educator, not as, because we live in this fantasy and we know, we look at Demo. Demo's got his camera set up. He's got his YouTube channel. He's got all the equipment and whatever. And now as a trainer, I know exactly how much equipment costs. So I know the value of what you're doing. You understand? But there's other trainers, and I say our own, that portray us, that go and portray that this thing is supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be motivated. You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to be, there were times with my own clients where we would cry together and I'd be like, yo girl, I know exactly what you're going through. Or I would be like, we're not going to train. Let's go have a coffee. You'll have your tea. I'll have my coffee, and then we'll gossip about something else. And that is actually, we deal more with human problems than we do with physical problems, because the body listens. If you're training correctly, if you're eating correctly, you're going to get the results that you want. However, if the mind is not in the right place and you're not feeling how you want to feel, or you're not making any positive changes, experience yako, you're not going to get the desired results. And I've seen clients that the scale hasn't changed, but the person has changed drastically. Because now when they look in the mirror, I know I'm fat, I know I'm overweight,
but I feel good.
So what? But I feel good, exactly. And with pregnancy, that is one of the biggest things, because they want to have pregnancy shoots. I don't do a pregnancy shoot. They want to have pregnancy shoots. They want to have announcement parties. I didn't do an announcement party. I didn't have a baby shower. And that was me. That was my experience. And all those things are happy moments, but not a happy experience. They're happy moments and they're not a happy. So I want to contribute more to the positive experience overall. And when they call me and they're like, oh, Hlubi, I'm like, yeah, girl, what did you think was going to happen? I don't try and, oh no, and the thing is, once you tell them, no, it will change, because that's what happened to me. When I saw these funny things that had happened to my body, even though like now I look back, okay, it wasn't really that long. Maybe it was like between 3 months that it was that bad. But you already like, people are like, no, worry. Your body's going to go back to normal. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And then for weeks after week, day after day, I obsessed with why isn't it back to normal? Why don't I look like I did? The mind played you. Like I
said, we thought you were okay, but when in your mind you think you are not.
Like I say, my body snapped back. And I was very grateful for that, and it did a lot for my confidence. But little things like the discoloring of your belly, because obviously it's stretched, so when it shrinks back, the color, you're about 3 or 4 shades darker in the belly area, and no one tells you that. So I'm sitting there like this Nigerian stomach I'm sitting with here, like, what's going on? And then Abantu were like, oh no, don't worry about that, it goes away. And actually, if you don't do any cosmetic treatment, or you don't actively, scrub and whatever, it takes 2 years to go away. 2 years to go back to normal.
So
understand?
These bio oils don't really work. The other day
like
I was thinking about it. But a bio oil, I must ask someone who actually worked on them. Because how many oils? These companies are making so much money out of us, guys. We need to we need to stop it. Like, let the body do its thing. Give the body the correct nutrients. Get some sunlight. Drink some water. Exercise. Read a book. You'll be fine. Like, we are gonna be fine. Let's stop wasting money where money doesn't need to go to. But yes, I can go on a rant.
I agree. And I love the passion that you have, because like I said, I have a very laxy-daisy approach to life. I was like, whatever. And I'm sure you've seen my post about the cup and whatever the case is. So my mind has really shifted in the last 4 or 5 months towards women and what women need and what women want. And I'll take in a couple of posts of women that have been inspiring me.
Do that.
I will, and that have been inspiring me on a real level. However, they're Caucasian. I haven't seen any black women speak about it, and I love the conversation that they're having. Like this girl, I'll take you on her post, Iguti, like real life versus Instagram, and she does video tutorials on how camera angles and how to look good, how to hide your stretch marks, the switch, and I'm like, this is so raw. It's so raw, because who comes online to show their stretch marks, and not to be like, oh, Amandla, Abafazi, no, like on a real level. And they're like, I've got stretch marks going up my back. But when we talk to women, we tell them, Uti, buy this works for you, buy this will make it better, buy this bio oil product. And
guys, let's look after ourselves. Like, let's look, especially if I want to bring a baby into the world with my partner. I think we'll make sure that the environment that we are in is good enough for us. We can raise the child, have a good relationship together, so that whatever is happening to me doesn't stress her out to a point where we lose the baby, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So I'm very passionate about that, and finding people like you So that Rekono Bolela about these things is it's powerful. It's very, very, very powerful. Okay, Hlubi, so I think we should leave it at that. But before I let you go, there are some few questions I'd like to ask you. I call them holistic dynamics Q&A. So I'm gonna ask you 3 to 4 questions. The first one is, if you had an opportunity to have lunch with anyone in the world who is still alive, who would that person be and why?
Ooh, Judge Lynn Tola. I don't know if you know her.
I don't know. Who's that?
She's this fantastic. She does divorce court.
Okay.
Her show is called the Divorce Court.
Okay.
I will send you a link to one of her shows. So the thing that I love about her and why I would want to meet her so badly. Actually, it's between her and RuPaul, who's a drag queen, but I will choose her first. The reason why I'll choose her is because she is for the empowerment of women on a real scale. And she, when she speaks to women, like she will cut you down to size, but it's only for your benefit. And I relate to that. Some people call it that harshness, and I will call it that harshness as well, because I don't know another way to put it. Sometimes you just need that straight bullet that hits you in the head, and you guys are dizzy, but makes you think. And when you come out of that dizziness, your mind is so clear and it's so straight. And we need more women that approach women that way, because we want to be here pinks and roses, and it doesn't work for everyone. So I like her toughness
approach. Okay.
That's Lynn Tola. Her tough love approach.
If you had to buy anyone a book as a gift, which book would you give to someone as a gift?
Maybe my most. I'm not a big reader at all.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay. But I read what's that orange book? I forget the title. It's something not to give a fuck. What is it called? Yes.
What? Where is it? I think I have it here. So,
I just forget the title.
The orange one, because
he made the orange one.
The orange one, because he made the new one. What's his name? Mason, I think. If I'm not right. If I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Okay, that book. Okay. No, I've read it. That book.
That's actually something I need to get better at. I don't. But I don't read as much as I should. I don't read as much as I should. I really don't.
You must start reading.
I do. Guilty as charged in that department. Guilty as charged.
You need to so that you can start recommending some books to other people. I'll find the name of the book as we go on. And then if you, what's the last question? How would you like to be remembered?
I think this is a very recent discovery, but a pioneer of some sort. I think nowadays the commercial term is a thought leader. A thought leader. And I think I want to be seen as someone who changes people's minds about the things that I'm passionate about and I've become passionate about in a positive way. I used to be someone that shied away from I hate confrontation. I am terrified of confrontation of any sort, even if it's something that must happen. And I've moved away from that because the things that I'm passionate about and the things that I've come to love, they need me to be confrontational. So I want to be a thought leader in certain conversations. Like I've already started with the cup and getting women to use sustainable menstrual hygiene. And when you're a young Black woman and you talk about those things, it's a tough market. It's not well received, but I've found that I haven't been discouraged. So I think that's what I want to be remembered for, like those tough and hard conversations.
That book's name is The Subtle Art of not
Stop
giving, not
giving.
giving a
Yeah.
fuck.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think we can
That one.
swear on this show. I don't know. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
A little at that.
Okay.
Mark Manson. It's a
Yes,
good read. It's a really good
it
read.
is.
Do you have a personal quote that you live by?
Yeah, I
Mm.
do.
Or do you have
I
affirmations?
do.
Or are they the same? Affirmations quote.
I think they're similar. I say
Yeah.
I think I wrote it on my on one of my on one of my posts not so
Yeah.
long ago, and
Yeah.
is there's no growth without pain.
Yeah.
I believe in pain, spiritual, physical, and mental, stimulation.
Mm.
And again, it goes back to that shell I used to live in. I never
Mm.
wanted to offend anyone.
Mm.
I'm not going to offend you, so don't offend me.
Mm.
I'm not going to hurt you, so don't hurt me.
Mm.
And that was such an unrealistic way of living.
Mm.
And I think at some point it was my downfall, and it broke me because I was like, but why am I being hurt? you
Mm.
know, and and then through all those growth pains, even giving birth, being married at a young age, all those growing pains have worked out fantastic. I think we like to see pain as a regret, and I don't anymore. When I've been through anything painful, when you come out on the other side, and you always do, that's another thing. It always feels like it's gonna last forever. It feels like it's never gonna go past.
Mm.
And so I believe in pain, and if there's no pain in your experience, then you're stagnant. You're not growing. You don't have direction. So I absolutely believe in there should be a little bit of torture. They say pain lets you know that you're alive,
Yeah.
and I've embraced it now.
Yeah, we are too comfortable in some sense. We need to go out and look for things that will stimulate us to grow. Because when I started this thing, I was so scared. I'm like, you know what? I don't care.
Yes.
Even if people listen to it, I'm gonna put myself in this position,
Yes.
and it will help me grow. Like the blogs that I've
Yeah.
been doing recently. I know I'm not a good writer, but I'm like, to hell with it. I'm gonna
But
make
how else
time.
were you supposed to learn? It's the
Yeah,
best way to learn, to
exactly.
do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I may not be good at it right now, but surely when I turn 40 or 35, I'll be much better than
Somewhere
when
there.
yeah,
Somewhere there.
I'll be a lot more better
Um,
than the person I was yesterday. I think
you know what
that's
I've really enjoyed about you, and I can definitely say you are one of the people that have, when I look at, I'm to all, I don't treat myself as a friend of somebody, or that thing of commenting on pictures and
everything.
what
Yeah, yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
associated.
Yeah,
However, I do, like, I watch and I listen, and
yeah.
yesterday I was actually getting frustrated. I was listening to one of your podcasts because I was like, hey, let me just refresh my memory of how this guy asks questions and what does he say,
Yeah,
just to make sure that I'm on the right path. And one of the things I enjoyed the most is everyone that you've interviewed or had, maybe it's deliberate, maybe it's not, they're so comfortable and they're so free, and that's because of you. Another thing is you are going against the grain in everything that you're doing. You're not looking for popularity, you're not looking for gratification, you're not looking for money, you're not and that's so obvious. And those are the things that we want. I want to look at someone like you and be like, that's what we should. I clap hands and I'm like, that's what we should be doing, that's what should be happening. When you're doing the right things, money follows. And a crush with fitness he's another person. He's another person that, and so watching people like you and him, and there's another girl, Zak Fitness, I think she's an Indian girl. She's fantastic. And when I listen to her a lot. I listen to what people say.
Yeah.
And I go on their YouTube channels and I go listen to what they say.
Yeah,
And then I go not what they're doing.
Push up.
And I go when I don't listen to you. There was some other influencer who spoke about tea as for weight loss, as in flavored tea, rooibos and whatever, like strawberry. And I was like, hey, Baton. So, and then that I don't want to be like that person, I want to be like this person. So it's refreshing. It's really, and it's inspiring. And if we don't do it, who else?
Who else is gonna do it? Because when I look around, I'm like, yeah, nobody's talking health and fitness on podcasts. Let's do this, bro.
Everyone's talking about themselves.
Yeah, let's do this.
Everyone's talking about themselves.
Like the other day, I heard a guy. He's a sleep therapist. I think once that show is coming up this coming Monday. It's coming out on Monday, the 3rd of August. I think if people listen to that one, it's going to make a big change into how they sleep, because we all talking about exercise, but we're not realizing that a lot of things happen when we are sleeping. And because we're not sleeping, we're not seeing such results. And he just gave me ideas on how to better my sleeping patterns. So I think people will really, really, really enjoy that podcast.
Hey, when I saw you on Instagram, I'm like, this guy wasn't like this when he went to school.
He looks different.
I'm like,
yeah, I lost some weight.
You did. But like, you're a beast now, though. Okay, I thought you were a beast back then, but now I can see that you're an athlete now. You're a super athlete.
The knowledge you gain over time it's nice to use and to implement it on some of my clients. I always tell them that please don't try and do any of my videos. It's not for you. It's not for you. You are what I give you is for you.
It's yours.
It's yours.
Don't.
Like, my training history is long. I've been training for a long time, so I've changed and I've grown.
Yes, and I've corrected. Yeah,
I've corrected. All right, Louis. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem.
we will chat again. Thank you for it. Oh, before you go, where can people get a hold of you? On the socials.
It's socials. Hlubikazi.
Yeah.
On Instagram, or you can just search Hlubikazi Sipamla. That's my maiden surname. And then Facebook, Hlubikazi Sipamla. And Twitter, I don't play in those streets. So just Instagram and Facebook is good enough for me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Hlubi.
All right.